Alright, hey guys, so we are still going on part 2, Captives. We're in chapter 19 now. Darn meets dog. Okay. Shortly before dawn, Kara, Tobble, and I headed out to fill water skins at a nearby stream. The day's journey would be long, Kara warned us, and we couldn't count on finding water when we might need it. My mind buzzed like a hive brimming with bees. Questions, escape plans, possibilities, impossibilities. And yet nothing made sense. Nothing seemed realistic. Was I just going to acquiesce to Kara's plans for me? What would Jax do? I asked myself. Mixo, my brave father, my intrepid mother. What would Dalentor do in the face of this fate? You are the runt, I told myself bitterly. A disappointment at your only task in life, which is to do your best, like all Darns, to stay quietly alive. It was my own fault I'd been captured, my own fault I didn't die bravely with my pack. There was no valor in being the last to survive, only humiliation and gut-wrenching guilt. We left Valeno and our meager belongings in the cave. The approach to the stream was too rocky for him to navigate easily. We drank freely from the cool water and filled Kara's water skins to bursting. The sun, flushed as a ripe peach, peered over the horizon as we returned. We were almost to the cave when I caught a stray scent on the air and stopped short. What is it? Kara asked. Instantly, she retrieved the knife in her boot with her left hand. With her right hand hovered over the hilt of her sword, which once again appeared to be nothing but a rusty relic. Someone's here, I said under my breath. Human. Male human. I would not be making that mistake again. I sniffed again. And a dog. Also male. Kara motioned for us to follow behind her. Stealthily, we crept forward, hugging the rocky wall. When we came to a large boulder surrounded by stickle grass, she paused. You two, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Hide in the brush as best as you can. Bix. If by chance you are seen, not a word from you. Get down on all fours. Don't let anyone see your pouch, or your fingers, or... She sighed. Just don't get seen, all right? Her tone was urgent. There was no time to question the plan. I knew what she was saying. If anyone discovered me, I should act like a dog, not a dare. Tobble and I moved behind the boulder. It wasn't much of a hiding place, and the barbed stickers on the grass pulled at our fur. Still, we crouched out of sight as best as we could. Kara continued down the path, her footsteps soundless. She was just about to round a curve when something big, foul, and evil-smelling bounded into her, knocking her flat on the ground. Kara lay motionless. She's unconscious, Tobble whispered. We leapt from the bushes, all promises forgotten. We were halfway to Kara before I realized I was about to save the very person holding me captive. Just at that moment, with the gasping intake of air, Kara came to. She blinked, saw the wiggling beast on top of her, and raised her knife, preparing to thrust it deep into the creature's side. But before she could move, it revealed a dripping pink tongue and promptly licked her nose. Only one animal could be that moronic. A dog. Stop, a low voice yelled. He's harmless. Around the bend hurtled a young man, a half-eaten pear in one hand and Valeno's reins in the others. The big horse followed behind. With a great heave, Kara threw off the slobbering dog and jumped to her feet. The dog romped over to the young man. Thief! Kara cried, using her unnaturally low voice, pointing at Valeno with her knife in her outstretched hand. Well, yes, as a matter of fact, the young man said calmly. Is he yours? He asked, nodding at the horse. Well, yes, as a matter of fact, Kara replied, perfectly mimicking his tone. In one flourish, she speared the pear with the tip of her knife and held it to his throat. Explain yourself now, or you'll find this pear in your stomach, and it won't be because you ate it. The young man seemed unfazed. I was heading up the path when my dog scented your horse. He went into the cave, and I followed. I thought perhaps the horse's owner had died. Died? Fallen off a cliff, for example. Or been consumed by a fellow-vet. Why else would anyone leave such a fine mount behind? Kara rolled her eyes. To forage, perhaps? To find water? To relieve yourself? I suppose that's... I was going to say, Kara interrupted sternly, to gather grass for the horse. She pulled the knife away a few inches and removed the pear. Valino watched hopefully. And speaking of dogs, the young man jerked his head in my direction. Yours is quite talented. Doesn't he get tired walking on his back feet all day like a trained bear? Tell me, can he juggle too? Kara turned to see me and Tobble standing on the path. I told you to, she snapped, then caught herself. Tobble and I looked at each other helplessly. Was it too late for me to play dog? I dropped to all fours, made fists with my hands. Then I opened my mouth and let my tongue loll out, pretending to pant. I even wagged my tail. A real dog, lanky, brown, and unkempt, bounded over to me. If he could tell I wasn't a dog, he showed no sign. His tail waved so frantically I thought it might break off and sail into the sky. With absolute determination, the beast began to sniff me. My head, my feet, my back, my tail, my everything. It was humiliating, but I knew better than to say anything. When I could stand it no more, I let out a low and hopefully persuasive growl. The dog looked at me with wounded eyes. "Dog!" the man yelled. And the hound ran over to him, licking the man's hand in an appalling display. "You named your dog Dog?" Kara asked. "Suits him perfectly, don't you think? I can only assume that you answer to Thief." "True enough, but you may call me Renzo. You and your friends? I'm Tobble," the Wabik offered, "and this is none of your business," Kara finished for him. Kara held out the half-eaten fruit to Valino, who took the pear between his teeth, not willing to part with it. But even as she did so, her eyes never strayed from the young man. He was taller than she was, with gold hair and intelligent dark blue eyes. He carried 3 knives with him that I could see, one in each black boot, and one at his waist. I judged him to be a bit older than Kara, but since he was only the second human I'd ever been this close to, it was merely a guess. "I'm going to let you live, Renzo," Kara said, keeping her voice deep, "but only because I'm too weary to kill anyone else this week." "Most obliged." He raised a brow and pointed toward the cave. "You know, it seems we've yet to enjoy breakfast, Dog and I." "Pity," said Kara. "It seems you won't be enjoying it with us." "A pity indeed," Renzo said, not sounding altogether surprised. "Then before we take our leave, I must inquire, might you be willing to sell your sword? It's not much to look at, but I lost mine in a wager, and I rather find myself in need. All kinds of scoundrels and blackguards in these parts. One can't be too careful." My sword is not for sale." "I'll give you far more than it's worth," Renzo said, stroking Dog's head. I gave you my answer. Renzo sighed. "Your dog then, how much for him?" I tried not to look alarmed. Kara was my captor, but I doubted Renzo would mean much improvement in my circumstances. "He's not for sale either." "Shame. Dog here could use a companion on our journey." "Mine's not much of a dog," Kara said, glancing my way with a smirk. "Disobedient in the extreme." I busied myself, chewing on my tail. Renzo retrieved a walking stick and a leather bag on a long strap. He slung the bag over his shoulder, doffed his cap, then looked at Kara, his brow furrowed, and a slow smile dawned on his face. "Fare thee well then, my good." He paused for just a split second. "Sir, I'm headed north. And you?" Kara merely stared, her hands on her hips. "Be wary. Should you be traveling that way too," Renzo said. "The Murdano spies her everywhere. He's planning an invasion of Drayland, some say." "We won't be going that far," Kara said. "So we're headed the same way. Perhaps our paths will cross again." "They won't," said Kara, "if you plan to keep on living." As Renzo passed, his mangy dog paused to touch noses with him. He smelled of skunk carcass, of squirrel droppings, of all manner of things I didn't want to dwell upon. "Off we go, dog," called Renzo. "They don't want to play with the likes of us." We watched them saunter away until they were out of sight. "He seemed harmless enough," Tobble said. "Can't say the same about his dog," I muttered, standing upright and flexing my fingers. Kara slipped her knife back into her boot and grabbed Valeno's reins. Man or dog? Until we get going, she said, glancing down the path one more time. Until we get where we're going, she said, glancing down the path one more time. Assume everyone, and I mean everyone, wants to do you harm. Okay, guys, that's the end of that chapter. We've got one more chapter left in this part, all right? I love you, I'm proud of you, and I'll see you soon.